Daredevil Born Again. That's a wrap. What a waste of all of our time. Remember how last episode I said none of it was going to matter? Matt was going to live. Nothing was going to matter. It was worse than I even thought. I, I, I don't understand why they're getting approval to keep spending and wasting this much money to continually waste our time. Like, you literally have an hour and a half, 2 hour movie. We could easily clean this up, leave it with a bit of a cliffhanger. And instead, they leave it with a cliffhanger after just doing nothing for I don't know how. There's so many good moments, and then there's just riddled in between, sprinkled in between stuff that we don't care about. So, for instance, let's get right to the get go. Remember, Bullseye had showed back up, right? Kingpin had moved him into general population, kind of eliminating him as a threat, I assume, eliminating the traceability back to Vanessa. He shows up to kill Kingpin. Matt jumps in front, takes a bullet. So we have a flashback. And in the flashback, we see that, yeah, it's Vanessa who is there. She is the one meeting with him, talking with him, and going to get him out, get him off his meds, get him right. And just so y'all know, nothing ever comes of that. Bullseye never shows up again. It's a flashback. Again, he takes a shot at Kingpin, hits Matt, gets away, presumably. We don't know where he is. He's at large. Does not show up again at all. No stinger with him, nothing. Just vanishes. I kid you not. Kingpin's going to let someone take a shot at him. Even if Vanessa paid him to do it. Even if it was... Wow. Okay. Let's get on with the story, I suppose. So as I said, they bond, they get over their issues. They're not, this was exactly what I said was going to happen. I don't know why we had to waste so much time with all of these awkward start stops. It was fine, and we just need to cut to the chase and get to what we needed to get to. Sadly, with Matt, Heather's there. Heather doesn't know what to make of any of this. So she basically just gives him a peck on the cheek and just leaves him because he wakes up. He's not really groggy. He's immediately like, oh, Froggy was onto something. I got to leave. I got to go and deal with the situation. It's like so not believable by a dude. He's a human, by the way. Yes, he has this sort of enhancement of different senses and healing. And okay, some of that's true, but he literally wakes up more clear than a normal human would on any given day. It's so abrupt. And by the way, we're just going to take Heather and we're going to put her on the shelf. We're not going to do anything with her the entire episode until the very, very end. And we'll do something that we don't really care about with her at the minute. So keep that in mind. So then we get back to the Kingpin becoming the Kingpin again, right? As I said, he's the mayor who can't really be the mayor. He has to be the Kingpin. His entire scheme is finally unpacked now for the audience. I don't know why we didn't let the audience in on it a little bit sooner to build some intrigue for Matt and Karen, who's going to, show up later, to figure it out. But it's okay. It's unpacked here. This is what's going to move the story about how, they've got this piece of land. It's basically totally exempt from any legal action, so they can commit all their crimes and launder anything they want to do in this little mini geography in that section of New York. Commissioner and the aide, they're all chatting up about what's going on, what they can do, what they cannot do. I don't really care too much about any of this. It shows up a little bit later, right before we get to something that does matter. And in the meantime, Kingpin's put the hit out. Go kill Matt. He survived. Go kill him. We got to go kill him. We can't have him becoming Daredevil. He's better to us if Matt Murdock succumbed to his wounds. Okay, he'd be the martyr as Matt Murdock, not Daredevil, and he's off the chessboard. So they basically create a power outage. They're going to show up. But of course, he senses all of this, and he's going to sneak away and end up in his apartment. And that's what's going to happen there. And then that's when we get to the kind of one of the best scenes of the entire show, where Frank is there. Frank had helped him, and we're going to have this big attack from the police, which is not really the police. It's the people that are working for Kingpin, and they basically big fight scene. And again, Matt was just shot like a few hours ago, by the way. So I just want to point out that they don't consistently do this. So he's injured, he's bleeding out, he's in the hospital, he wakes up clear. He sits on the couch and he has moments where he seems exhausted, like he can't barely move. Then he gets up, he fights for a minute, then he kind of staggers away. And then later, he isn't really doing anything, and he just looks like he's going to pass out and die again. So it's like, again, very inconsistent, but great scene, great fight scene. Love this. This is what we wanted. This is what we want. We wanted to see Daredevil and Punisher side by side, taking people out, and Punisher is the Punisher. Like, this is really good. I'm actually stunned and pleased that we got the Punisher that we would want. A dude that is just, taking people out. It's not always as maybe as intense as we could get, but it's fine. I got to be honest. This is the Punisher and Daredevil that we kind of want. So we're going to get through this entire sequence. We have some flashbacks as we're piecing things together, and you basically have a grenade goes off, and they have to leap out of the window, which of course he uses Billy Club and saves, and that's when Karen shows up. So Karen's back. Just happened to show up at the right exact time we needed her to. I don't know why she wasn't just already at the lookout or be there with Frank. Like, how do you think Frank got here, kind of thing. It would have made more sense. Like she returned to town, something that triggered her to return sooner. It would have we could have easily figured this out a little bit smoother, but that notwithstanding, she's now in the mix. And then we have a divide with Frank over what we're going to do next, where Karen is now going to partner with Matt to go and figure out the riddle, because Froggy's case is going to be dismissed because he was onto that whole property exemption scheme with the Kingpin. Froggy didn't know that. He was just, a casualty of, wrong place, wrong time with this whole thing. He thought he was just going to be able to get his client off. But Karen's going to go on the mystery hunt with Matt, and Frank's just Frank. He's going to do his own thing. What is sad is we still have tons of scenes with the characters that don't matter. We waste a ton of time. This episode's almost an hour. Well, then we get to Karen and Matt. They're there in the document room, and they literally are just sitting around, and they're chit-chatting and reminiscing about avocados at law, right? Because avocado, Spanish, lawyer, haha. There's no sense of urgency. Again, this is one of my pet peeves with shows where you have set things up to move in a certain motion with certain time constraints with the city and different things that are going on. But the characters that are key to everything just kind of walk like they got all day. They got all the time in the world. So sometimes in movies, they'll do something where they overreact, and it would have been easier to create a time where they would have had this a chance to breathe. Here, they're sitting around like a Karen without a care in the world while all this crap is unpacking. They have no plan, no scheme, nothing. They're not reaching out to anyone else for any help. And it just keeps going on. Let me see this scene. It's on and off again for minutes. This is the fight scene with Punisher. So during the battle when they're ambushed, where Daredevil and Punisher are ambushed in Matt's apartment, he does get one of the radios. So he's listening to the police who say, this is where we're going to be. So he shows up to start taking them out one by one. And he literally is taking on like 12 guys or whatever. He's taking them out until he's finally overcome. Fantastic. Again, Punisher being Punisher. He's taking gunshot, which again, he's armored up. I wish they would do a better job of explaining that, how he can take bullets. He's hurt, but he's able to survive these shots. And they're basically just going to tie him to a chair, and really done well. Now, Disney's just horrible. The agenda here, folks, is they can't stand the Punisher. Disney cannot stand the Punisher logo. They hate the fact that police and military embrace the skull. They embrace the Punisher. They have made them the awful, evil cops, and they're the fanboys of the Punisher. I think that this is the actor, I don't remember his name. He's Robert on Mayor of Kingstown. I said he would be a great Punisher. He's wasted as this dirty cop, this Gallo character. No, I think Gallo was the commissioner. Anyway, they're all just interchangeable parts, and it's such a crime because these people are talented and good performers, and it's this hodgepodge mess that's just thrown together. And we have this long exposition about the Punisher. We're just going to punch him a few times. Like, you don't know my pain. You don't know what I've been through. You're just basically stupid little fanboys. And it's just, this is Disney getting what they want. You feel like as Punisher moves forward, he will probably want to abandon his logo because they've been hijacked by the police and whatever, because they're all portrayed as bad. So that is how they see it. So awful and so cringy and just so freaking frustrating. Well, then we also get this whole sequence is juxtaposed. They've done this several times in the show. They're going to do a Kingpin, Daredevil, Kingpin, Matt. This time they're doing Kingpin, Punisher, where he's getting punched in the face, whatever. And now we're going to see the true Kingpin with this rated R. He's got the police commissioner. No one's going to allow to stand in the way. And he basically just crushes this guy's head. Now, pretty freaking epic and exactly what we want. This is the Daredevil Netflix type stuff coming to manifest and kind of what fans would want. The problem, again, too little, too late. Why did it take so long to get there? Imagine this being completely recut as a 2-hour movie, but I feel like this is exactly the same problem that we've always had, and we'll get to more about that in just a moment. So basically, what ends up happening is, Matt and Karen just show up, and then he's too tired. He just sits there. It's like, you can't go in there. You're going to get killed. You can't get in there. You're going to get killed. I have to do something. He doesn't hear Frank. He doesn't hear the punches. We kind of have a stinger that kind of explains why. But that's what I kept thinking was, why is he going in there to save Frank? But they don't go in there. They don't do anything. They don't have a plan. Their plan is, we're going to go make a plan. And then we cut to the rest of the story, which is the Kingpin taking more control, the Kingpin talking to the citizens about the pursuit of life and liberty and how they're going to get their city back. And they're going to take care of vigilantes now. This is all the stuff that they're going to do. And in the meantime, they got to have a plan. They got to have someone to go get. They got to go get some people that are on their side. And it's like, okay. And then it just keeps going and going and going, and then you end up with this long walk with Vanessa and Kingpin together, and then there's this bloody painting, which we can know about that, and then all the coming together for the Daredevil part is culminates with them showing up, and they put him in some red light because that's super cool when they have that shot, because it is pretty cool. See, pretty cool, right? That's what we want. Something that's pretty cool. Right. Then, of course, we have the stinger. Then we get the stinger where, Kingpin has several of them in cages, including the swordsman, who hasn't really mattered in this series either, even though he was introduced before. And they have Frank in here. And, of course, it's going to be how he gets out, because he grabs this guy, he breaks his arm, whatever. So, the guy who wrote the first episode, I believe, wrote the last. And this is the same formula Disney does over and over and over again. It's they come up with people who pitch a general idea. They come up with this general outline. Then they create this middle where they hire inexperienced writers. They create all this fluff that's in the middle of the content that doesn't make any sense. Episode 5, which can be completely deleted. And then we end up with something in the finale. We have pieces of things that could be a better story. And that's what Daredevil Born Again is. It's pieces of an hour and a half, 2 hours would have been a great first movie in a trilogy, or something that would set up the fact that Matt has walked away from being this vigilante because of the death of his friend. He finds out there's more to that story. He kind of falls back into that life again. We could have set the Muse up as being sort of like the other villain to move that story along before you get to this thing where Kingpin's taking control. I can't do anything. But they should have left him in more of harm's way. Like, we recut everything badly. Like, he shouldn't be just able to walk around and be concerned about going to the document room more than saving his friend. It's just a freaking mess and a freaking waste of our time. Like, it literally is just something you easily could have put together and had a much better show. It's such a missed opportunity. And the problem is, it's going to get a complete pass because it's better than almost everything else they've done, right? It's not quite Daredevil and Netflix. Of course, no one expected it to be. And if you did, you're completely nuts. But they at least went edgier. They had some profanity and violence that you wouldn't have expected. They at least felt more gritty and crime driven than some of their other stuff that they did, and delivered characters that felt like they were at least similar enough in that universe. I enjoyed even some of the court elements because I feel like that is at least aligned with some of the comic books. But again, so much wasted time. We didn't need all of this. So complete failure in that regard. It's like a failure to execute what could have been. It's not that it's the worst thing ever. It can be a midland show. It's the fact that this should have been a great show, a great first movie. Should have got everybody re-excited, rejuvenated again to, hey, this is like a 3.5 star movie. Oh my gosh, we're going to get another movie. Like, it should have been that type of thing. And instead, we're going to get a forgettable show that come the end of the year, people are like, oh yeah, Daredevil was this year. I remember that now. I like that. It was okay. It's not as good as season 1. It's like, that's what the reaction is going to be. It's like, oh yeah, aren't you sick of that? Aren't you just sick of everything being just sort of like ho hum? Oh yeah, I am. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all of that. So anyway, this is my general take on the show. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. Just it's okay. It's better than average, if that's okay. I mean, it's like what, a 3 out of 5, but you got to sit through all that freaking time to get there. Is that worth your time? Because you usually could have just skipped around and watched pieces of things. Not as bad as Reacher was, not as bad as other shows are, but still definitely not good. So, yeah, that's my general take on it, guys. You guys take care. I am Pops.